In the early weeks of 2016, the users of 4chan found themselves falling down the rabbit hole of the mystery known as Erratas, the search term that makes people disappear. A swirling rabbit hole of soul-crushing workplaces, office equipment, corporate oppression, disappearances, censorship, YouTube subtitles, Hawaiian criminals, cursed albums, experimental music, and forklifts. It was a thing that defied description. Suspicions quickly fell on already 4chan notorious internet musician Dr. Roswell, as well as his apparent companions in the KFC Murder Chicks band. At around this time, a new X-focused YouTuber named Exer Erb appeared on the scene, uploading multiple videos covering the discoveries and events of Erratas, alongside other popular spooky topics of the time. His heavy coverage of Erratas caused him to become closely associated with the mystery. But suspicions began to arise regarding Exer's motives. Some came to believe that he was the man behind the mystery, playing both sides for the attention, or just to take everyone on a ruse cruise. Despite this, he continued with his coverage, up until the Erratas mystery seemingly reached the end of its trail. But just when the internet needed him most, he vanished. Out of nowhere, his YouTube channel was found to have been deleted. Was he really behind it all, hiding out of shame? Or did the search term, or the corporations behind it, just claim their biggest victim? Somewhat more recently, the story was finally put to rest by Dr. Roswell himself, the musician long suspected of being behind it. There were no disappearances, no corporate conspiracies, just a failed and disorganized ARG. A disappointment, to be sure, but not an unexpected one. But one mystery still remains. In his confession, Dr. Roswell claimed to not have had anything to do with the YouTuber Exer Erb, nor to know anything of what happened to him. So what did happen? That's not something that's easily answered. Exer Erb's channel had existed for some time before he became involved with Erratas. The earliest video of his I can find reference to, an analysis video covering the Adult Swim ARG This House Has People in It, dates to March 18, 2016. I can't find conclusive evidence on when the channel itself was created, though. This screenshot of a YouTube tracking site seems to claim it started on the same date as that video, but I've seen other claims it dates back to 2015. I've also found an apparent mention of early Exer videos from before he began covering ARGs, which implies they date back to before the This House Has People in It video. I found no actual evidence of videos of his from this time period, though. At any rate, said earliest video was apparently rather well received, as him being its creator is often brought up as a mark of quality when posting his other videos. Just a few days later on the 22nd, after a This House Has People in It update video, Exer uploaded his first video on Erratas. He posted quite a few update videos, seemingly keeping up with all the new finds on the trail, though it's hard to know for sure what he covered as the videos are now lost. A little can be gleaned from the discussions at the time. For example, according to these posts, these two of Exer's update videos covered a detail I haven't seen discussed elsewhere, that the flashing text in one of Chronos for Life's videos could be found in a music video uploaded a few months earlier by the KFC Murder Chicks. This is a surprisingly smoking gun tier hint to have been so overlooked, though it no longer tells us anything we didn't already know. Even after the apparent end of the Erratas trail, the discovery of a lost KFC Murder Chicks album, Exer continued making videos, moving on to other X topics such as the Despair Code and the Bell Ray Surge. Then, one day in May of that year, it was discovered that his channel was unavailable. This was obviously quite odd. Exer had only just uploaded his last video, one on Hecate Station, about 2 days prior to this, so it wasn't like he had sunk into inactivity or lost interest. This alongside the themes of censorship and disappearance found in the Erratas mystery itself, which Exer had spent so much time covering, and which was then still largely unexplained, left an uneasy feeling in the air. Exer's videos are largely lost media. When his channel was terminated, it was without warning, and very little was backed up. Among the few that turned out to have been saved are his first Erratas video and that last Hecate Station video. Ironically enough, the main re-upload of the Erratas video was taken off of YouTube at some point, but I managed to find a copy of it on the Wayback Machine and have uploaded it myself. Even before the reveal by Dr. Roswell, I had been researching Exer's activity to see if there was any evidence for or against his involvement. I've established a list going back and forth between 4chan's archives and a Wayback Machine, collecting video IDs and, where the actual date of upload isn't available, the earliest date of mention. As it turns out, that earliest video I mentioned, the "This House Has People in It" video, was actually saved in whole by the Internet Archive. Or, well, it is now anyway. When I first found the page, the video wouldn't play, or would play for a couple seconds before cutting out and freezing or showing an error message. But for some reason, after a few years, it inexplicably became fully playable. After some fiddling, I managed to extract a video file from the web page, and will be re-uploading it as well along with this video. There's nothing that interesting, just a decently competent covering of the early events of that ARG, but it's a piece of internet history and I'm glad to see it preserved. Aside from that, there's not much to say. Exer simply seemed like a normal X-focused YouTuber, covering what piqued his interest from what was circulating on the X board at the time. But was there something deeper? Well, to be quite honest, no, there really wasn't. Not a single thing I found during my searches gave me any reason to believe that Exer Erb was in any way involved with the Erratas mystery. He was associated with the mystery due to covering it so heavily, but that in itself isn't surprising. Erratas was one of the most fascinating internet mysteries of its time. It's a well-remembered event for a reason, after all. Exer still put out plenty of videos on other topics and had largely moved on from Erratas by the time he disappeared. So, why was it ever believed that Exer Erb was behind Erratas? There must be at least something, right? The main source of contention seems to lie with the discovery of the lost album. On April 12th, Exer released yet another Erratas update video showing, seemingly out of nowhere, a website where a torrent of the album could be found. This rather upset people. Accusations came flying of Exer being behind it, of him getting bored of people solving his mystery too slowly and dropping hints to bring back attention. Was it really so? Not so much. The link in question had been posted to the X board a couple days before the video. It was apropos of nothing, given with no context and largely overlooked, but there it was, before Exer ever brought attention to it. Presumably, Exer didn't show the post itself in his video, leaving people to imagine that Exer was claiming to find himself. This was made worse by the misidentification of the website in question as Rootracker or Rootor, when it was actually the more obscure Newty, which made it harder to find the original post. You could perhaps say that the posting of the album itself was suspicious, being just a URL dumped into Fred with no other surrounding context, but there's no reason to tie that to Exer. Plus, the ARG didn't even seem to be leading to the album specifically. It just seems like something someone incidentally found while searching. As a matter of fact, other posters had previously complained about Exer's videos merely repeating what was posted into Fred's, and not adding anything new, a concept rather at odds with the idea of him having some kind of unique insider knowledge. So there was nothing. I think that was kind of understood at the time. But if that's the case, then why do people believe it? Actually, a better question might be, did anyone ever actually believe it? Because, looking further into the 4chan threads of the time, I'm actually not so sure. The idea of Exer having been behind it, or having been suspected of being behind it, is a key feature of the story nowadays, but discussion about it in threads of the time is surprisingly thin. There's very few posts actually making any sort of claims against Exer, with plenty of pushback whenever it comes up. Outside of the event of the album discovery, no supporting evidence is ever given, just bold claims with no real backing. Later posts engage in the use of weasel words, confidently declaring it established and the like, when it was still nothing more than a claim. Of course, I'm not expecting to find a dissertation on why Exer should be believed to be behind Erratas. After all, he wasn't, so there's no such info to dissert about. But I would have expected to find more than this. As a matter of fact, such similar wording appears in accusation posts across multiple threads that I'm almost led to believe it's just one or two guys repeating claims mindlessly, maybe trying to push a narrative or just cause trouble. So then if that's the case, Why did it ever enter into the general consciousness that Exer was or was suspected to be behind Erratas? A large part of it was likely because it just made for such a good story. It's almost too perfect. A story of disappearances, then the guy most closely covering it disappears himself. Was he taken? Was he behind it and hit out of shame once people figured him out? Now we know that it was neither of those, but at the time, without that knowledge, the events were absolutely shocking. Of course, there's a lot that's been lost to time that might have given vital information we're now missing. The contents of Exer's videos themselves can no longer be checked, just pieced together from contemporary discussions. The comments on his videos are gone as well. According to these posts, Exer was active in them, so there may have been more that went on there that left people feeling like they were being messed with. Or there may have been more direct harassment aimed at Exer, which could have led to him shutting down the channel. As it is now, we just don't know. There's a few other oddities I've stumbled across while researching. One is the case of this poster, who claims Exer Erb copystruck his re-uploads of Exer's videos. An odd claim, and not one I've seen reported on anywhere else, despite the malicious copyright striking of YouTube videos also being an aspect of the ARG. And of course, even if the claim could be verified at the time, it can't anymore. I don't know what things were like back then, but nowadays false copyright strikes are a known plague of the YouTube landscape. Though if this did happen, there's the possibility of it being a troll, not even Exer himself. If that's the case, it's possible this theoretical copyright troll was emboldened to turn on Exer's own channel, and that was what drove him to delete it. But also I think in this case it would actually have been reasonable for Exer to go after re-uploads of his content. Because, why are you even reposting it while they're still online? Why? It also occurs to me that if this person retained their downloads of the videos, they might be the only remaining copies of this lost media. But if that were the case, I highly doubt they'd just be sitting on their copies and never realizing how sought after they were. Another point of interest is this, a more recent claim regarding proof of Exer's involvement. This poster suggests that Exer's username was an oblique reference to a particularly odd loose thread of the Erratas mystery. On one of the videos involved in the ARG, the description randomly featured the phrase Erratas or bust, which was later changed to Erratas or rusts. Nobody has any idea what this was supposed to mean. This poster suggests that each part of Exer Erb's name can be connected to a version of the phrase. ERB coming from Erratas or bust I can kind of see, but for Exer it rather breaks down. Where's the X come from? Like the other accusation posts, this is remarkably shaky as far as evidence goes. And once again, the posts bringing this up are all worded similarly enough that it seems like it's just one guy, making a racket about it all on his own, possibly trying to push a narrative. So take that as you will. And that's just about it. Erratas was a wild ride. Despite essentially being over and explained, it might be worth a video later on down the road going over all the insanity that happened with it. The Exer Erb video list will be released in some form after this video goes live. It's almost certainly not complete. The videos mentioned here, if those ever were actual videos and not just examples of what such a channel might cover, as well as the Bell Ray Surge video, at the very least, I've found absolutely nothing about. It's also entirely possible there's videos I haven't even found mention of, or ones that weren't mentioned to be by Exer. I doubt this will get me anything, but if anyone watching this remembers or has additional information on Exer Erb's old videos, please do share it. Aside from that, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. I intend to put out many cool videos about strange and interesting things like this in the future. So, toodles!